Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What is cracking, Lock Shoppers? Happy Friday to you all. Welcome to the show. Huss and P. Gregoire with you today is Dusty getting in on the play-by-play for the WHL Championship Series beginning on TSN tonight in Portland. Check that out in between your NHL playoff watching. Of course, the Lock Shop's brought to you by our partners at Coolbet Canada. Hit up coolbet.com if you haven't played there before. You can use the promo code LOCKSHOP for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. Patrick Gregoire, it is a pleasure as always. What's going on, bud?
Going well. It's a little early afternoon sweat for myself with the Wells Fargo going on right now, and Max Homa etching himself into the top 5. But from a Canadian Coolbet standpoint, your CJ Cup Byron Nelson champion is starting to heat up. He's 2 under T15 right now, and he's got the magic beans going right now that we saw last week. Taylor Pendrith just nailed a big putt. He's chipping well. And my guy, Sahith Theegala, just eagled to get to 1 under. So I know I called it a sweat. Anytime you watch golf on a Friday and you got guys, the good thing about this, though, it's not a cut sweat. But with the way that some of the guys at the top have been playing, if you don't keep up with the pace, you're in trouble. So it's a sweat. It's early, but I'm enjoying it because my guys are playing quite well right now.
Shout out to everybody in chat. I see Duck Dad's in here. Duck Dad, Huss, why am I looking at the Knicks versus Pacers, seeing Knicks plus 7.5 at -105? That is a big line. You know, we will get into that in a moment. We got a bunch of things to get to. We got to get to the hockey from last night, a couple big games tonight, including the one that all of you were fired up for. The Oilers looking to steal one on the road and get home ice, coming back despite the disappointment from an Oilers point of view for game number 1. We will get into the NBA playoffs, and we're going to have to figure out where we're putting our 20% win boost this weekend. I always like the Friday show right now during playoffs because unfortunately, I've strategically put a couple of those into Nuggets futures. And as I mentioned, I've been in full panic mode all week and had to wait 3 damn days for this game tonight. So we'll see it. Yeah, I was about to say, Patty, you are kind of coming in pretty low. So if there's a way you can crank that up at all, that would be great. Listen, just before we get to last night's games, this isn't necessarily maybe along the lines of betting, although if it comes to fruition, it'll be another thing we can throw down on. Did you catch this Steve Dangle video last night about the breaking news that there's going to be a 16-team 3-on-3 hockey league allegedly starting next fall here in North America with the $30 million salary cap per team? Like, there's been a lot of smoke that this is Saudi-backed, which basically sounds like live hockey to me, Pat. What did you think when you heard that? Oh, wait a sec. We got you muted now. Let's see if we can return Pat to the world of being able to hear him.
How's it?
There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we're ready to roll. Maybe when I was fidgeting around trying to get the volume back up on this mic, I must have cut it out. Or it was the Saudis because they were hearing me talking maybe about potentially bashing this league. But no, in all seriousness, the $30 million salary cap is what kind of jumped out as me as a red flag. And immediately I was wondering, like, who the hell is funding this league? Who is soaking that much money into a 3-on-3 professional hockey league? I actually, one of my first gigs after university, I was a director of marketing and social media for a 3-on-3 pro hockey league that started here in the GTA in Ontario, Southern Ontario. Well, we ran for 2 years. It was an awesome concept. It was a tour-based model. The play on the ice was really solid. I mean, it was mostly former AHL guys, some ECHL guys, college level guys. We had a couple former NHLers, Justin Williams, some other guys that played in a couple of events.
Be honest,
But
was the 3-on-3 any good in a whole game? Like, right off the bat, regardless of who's putting this together, like 3-on-3, it's a fun way to finish an NHL game for an extra point when you don't want to send people home with a tie and prefer not to do a shootout. Can you play entire games at 3-on-3?
we fiddled it. That was the one thing that was kind of cool as well, being a part of this like startup league. It was a lot of like tinkering with rules, and it was a shorter game. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how long each period was, but you were looking at like no longer than a 20-minute game.
I think these games are supposed to be like 24 minutes. Again, having a hard time wrapping my head around filling a building for a 24-minute game and then sending everybody home.
That's the thing that will kind of confuse me here with it being like home teams and having locations, like 16 locations. The way that this worked, and even the other league that we saw pop up for a little while, the 3 Ice, which had a little bit of backing behind it from some former NHLers, and it seemed like they had some money behind it, but nothing really came to fruition. It was all teams got together in one location. Think of like rugby sixes. Think of that when it's a fast pace. You play a few games in a row. It's go, 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 and you're sitting in your seat. Maybe there's a quick break. You can go get a beer. Then you're back in, and there's a new game. This kind of seems to me like it's going to be just like a one individual game, unless there's double headers or back-to-backs or something like that. It doesn't quite add up for me. And you asked about the play on the ice. Play on the ice was actually, it was pretty interesting. But for me, it was more of like a festival environment. You got to have other things going on, like a band playing between games, vendors, and have it.
This is live.
Exactly. This is basically turning out to be live. Like it has to have something besides just the games going on. I like in principle the idea. And I'm sure if there's this much money going into it, there has to have been some thinking to it. But then again, there's a lot of things that are wrong with Live Golf that we're screaming at the top of our lungs saying, like, who is not thinking about this? So we'll have to wait and see who is actually behind this. Maybe we'll never find out who's behind the funding anyways. But just kind of it popping out of the clouds. There certainly were some red flags about it, but I'm not gonna poo-poo on it until it happens. Let's see what happens, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be a fun product to watch, and like you said, something else to bet on.
VR Montenegro, put a shot clock in there, and I'd watch. I mean, I'd certainly be interested to see what the actual product was. Listen, if they're going this way and dropping 30 mil, and apparently there's going to be 3 professional players and the rest of the team is going to be rounded out with NCAA guys and, younger players, which tells me most of that 30 million is going to be going to 3 guys, which means, with that level of cash available, you're basically trying to poach some top pros from top pro leagues, maybe even including the National Hockey League. Now, whether anyone will do that, we'll know. All I can tell you is that from a number of years working in pro sports within organizations and having been involved with starting up a pro team in year 1, there is so much that goes into it. Like,
so much.
Starting a team is an incredibly long process. Starting an entire league is on a whole nother level. And it's the middle of May right now. And this is the first time we've heard it. Interesting, too, that it was Dangle. I don't know whether the SDPN is getting a nice PIF check right now, but that was an interesting way for that news to break. Anyways, I just thought I'd bring it up.
I wanted to bring up one more thing because you do bring up a great point with those players. I think that's probably the idea that each team has one or two guys that maybe were recently retired that can bring some people into seats because these are big cities. These are big metropolises that are hosting it. The thing with the 3HL that when I was involved with it was we targeted a lot of like smaller towns in Ontario, the Londons of the world, the Guelphs of the world, the Oshawas. So OHL towns. And the reason why those guys wanted, fans wanted to go out and see, and again, I'm not talking, this wasn't a perfect league. It lasted for 2 years. There were obviously some business issues with it as well. But what the business model was there was former OHL players that no longer play pro or just finishing up pro careers coming back to their old towns to play in front of there. They're like, where does the rooting interest for a team like Hamilton, for example, that is rumored to be the Ontario-based team. Why will people want to come out from Hamilton? What is going to be the pull there? People in Minneapolis are supposed to be a team there, apparently. A team in Nebraska. Like, where is the rooting interest? Where are these people? Why are these people going to want to watch this?
Mitch Marner signing for $15 million with the Hamilton team.
Please. Please.
Well, I mean, this is going to be a story. It kind of came out last night. It's got a lot of people talking online right now. We'll see what comes of it. Color me highly dubious for this fall that this gets off the ground, as was put forth yesterday. But money can buy you a lot of things. It won't necessarily buy the fans or people caring or eyeballs on it, but it can certainly get guys to sign. So that'll be an interesting story. And of course, Alan Walsh seem to be quite excited about that because it's definitely good for the agents if they can use that.
Oh yeah,
as a little bit of negotiating. Last night in the NHL, man, hard to believe Carolina, and we talked about how Carolina going in co-favorite to win the cup. The books loved the Carolina Panthers. The Rangers won the President's Trophy. They had home ice, and yet they've been an underdog in all 3 games in this series, Pat. And guess what? The Rangers are 7-0 in the playoffs right now and 1 game away from sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes.
We talked about this, I want to even say months ago, about how much the book loved the Hurricanes, and for good reasons. Again, when you talk to a lot of the analytic crew, they love the Hurricanes as well. Yep. But do you know what can, stuff analytics in a locker is good goaltending. It doesn't matter what your expected goals are. When Igor Shesterkin's making 45 saves and the majority of those are in regulation, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. We've seen it so many times in the National Hockey League. A goalie can take over a series. The Hurricanes are in shambles with their goaltending situation right now, and they can't find an answer for Shesterkin right now. And I think, to be quite frank, despite of how good Carolina has played and the fact that they are not able to find an answer for this Rangers team, I think from the start of this series, the Rangers were getting completely disrespected by the book because the Rangers, like you said, President's Cup champions, they have a lot of great players up front that can put the puck in that. Their defensive core they can skate, they can move the puck, and they have, when that goalie's on, one of, if not the best goalies on the planet. So to me, I'm not entirely too surprised that the Rangers have a commanding lead. Am I surprised it's 3-0? Absolutely. I thought this would be, a series that would go 6 or 7. Mind you, Carolina can flip the switch and maybe get it to there, but man, oh man, it's not often that the sports book are completely off, unless we're talking about a basketball game last night, which I think we'll probably get to in a little bit, because boy, were they wrong on that one.
Well, and listen, Jake's had some good picks this week. laying the 13 or 14 last night with the Celtics. Certainly not it. Listen, the Dallas Colorado game was interesting. Yeah, by the way, Carolina right now for the series 7-1 to come back. And I think that still shows how much they love them. Like most
There's
teams
no-
down 3-0, you're looking at a much, much bigger number. Not that I would ever suggest someone to bet a number this big, but Rangers minus 1250 to win the series. The Avalanche came back and made it close, made it very close, from 4-0 down to 4-3 with a power play in the final 2 minutes. There were some tight callers in Dallas there, and that's what Colorado will do. But Dallas gets it done. And most importantly, Colorado came through in the third period to make it 3-0 with the daily pick. It is so much fun betting overs in games like this where you don't really have any skin in the game on either side. You just want to see the red light go on, and it did quite a bit. So we got the goals. We got a pretty fun game, and Dallas got their win. And this is now a best of 5 heading back to Colorado, where the Avalanche have been the best team at home all season in the NHL.
Yeah, this one felt like a absolute must win for the Stars, not just based upon the fact that they absolutely blew it last game, but the fact you mentioned it. This Avs team is unbelievable on home ice, and they go back with a 2-0 lead. Like, you might as well kiss that series goodbye. I think you got to know though now, like, no lead is safe with the Avs. When they turn it on, they turn it on, and it wasn't just Cale Makar, who at points have looked this playoffs like he could be the best player on the planet, or Nathan McKinnon or Mikko Rantanen. There's a lot of their depth guys. Like, this team from top to bottom, they can score the puck. It's quite remarkable. And I know he's public enemy number one, or one of public enemy number ones in Winnipeg, but Valeri Nichushkin, man, the future Gregoire childrens of my household will be going to college off the back of him alone, because I just blindly bet it now. He's got 9 tucks this playoffs. It's unbelievable, man.
He has been incredibly productive, and even when it's not hitting his stick, it's hitting him somehow and going in.
That's what I mean.
To your point, I mean that turnaround started with Duhaime and Trennan. I mean, guys playing, in the third and fourth line. So listen, I'm selfishly, maybe I'm a little glad that Dallas won that game, because I think that if Colorado won, I don't think Dallas is just coming back like they did against the Vegas Golden Knights. So at least we've got chances for a longer series. That series price right now, even now with Colorado having home ice, the Dallas Stars are back to being a favorite. Minus 116 for Dallas, minus 105 for Colorado. Listen, Colorado with games 3, 4, and 6 at home. Like, I like Colorado to begin this series, and I think they were plus 104. The line hasn't moved that much. They've got the win they needed on home ice. They're still in a very, very good situation. And, just know that they can score when they need to. Like, the confidence level of Colorado is there. I still think they're in the driver's seat. I'm actually surprised that those numbers aren't reversed. So let's get to this action tonight. We'll start it off with Florida, Boston. I'm making damn sure I'm watching this game right from the get-go. The thing I want to see the most is the way the Garden erupts and reacts when the Bruins come out and David Pasternak is out there. And to review, they got their asses kicked 6-1. But honestly, even though the fight, the way it happened, and Kachuk getting a bit of a cheap shot on the way down, I think what David Pasternak did is going to be an incredible rallying cry for Boston, for their fans. I think it's going to amp up the energy in that building tenfold tonight. And I really do think that the Bruins, I don't think I would have been picking the Bruins before, but I honestly think that the Bruins are going to step up tonight, and I think they're going to kind of ride a wave after this, as I said, getting rolled by Florida. None of that really matters after the way that Pasta stuck up and all the extracurriculars between those teams. So I think I'm looking at Bruins as a plus money home dog tonight, a plus 106. Even as good as Florida played right now, there's a lot going on in this series, Pat, heading into Game 3.
Yeah, I hate being on the side of the Boston Bruins, but I totally agree, man. What past, you broke it down so perfectly on the lock shop yesterday with Jake, but like seeing your leading goal scorer, seeing a guy that's not known for dropping the gloves go up against a guy like Tkachuk, and I know Tkachuk picks his spots, but for him to say, all right, we're going, drop the gloves. Like I'll be totally honest. At that point of the game, I wasn't fully paying attention at that moment. I was down on my phone, looking on Twitter or doing something, and I look up and they're on the ground, and I'm saying, what the hell? And I text the Coolbet group chat, and I said to the guys, I'm like, wow, Tkachuk, can't believe he just jumped past it. Like, surprise, surprise. And then they show the replay, and it was no, Pasta's the one who's calling him on, shakes the mitts. I was impressed. Like, I 100% agree. I 100% agree that this Bruins team, despite maybe not having the same talent level that we've seen in years past, I believe that anytime, their head coach has called them out and needed to have a response, they've responded. With that being said, so I like Bruins. I also like the under 5.5. And you're probably wondering, what the hell did you not watch the last 2 games? Isn't that kind of what happens though with teams that are a little more defensive responsible when things kind of go crazy, 2 games in a row? These teams might be like, all right, guys, we got to dial it in. And I haven't seen if Jeremy Swayman's going to start. But
I'm pulling that up right now. So this is, again, Bob is unconfirmed, and Swayman they're referring as likely. I don't know whether they did morning skates today. I think getting Swayman back in there is the right move. If it doesn't go well, they can go to Allmark in game number 4. But yeah, no, the under, like a tighter game. And are we at 6.5 or 5.5 for this one? No, we are at 5.5. Wow. The book obviously feels that same way. The under 5.5 is minus 123.
Yeah.
Usually that's like to get plus money on over 5.5 you don't see that very often. So yeah, definitely juice to the under right now at 5.5. Bruins plus 106, and the Panthers minus 125. And then, of course, we've got the Oilers and the Canucks. This is we're gonna have to get into some props. I think that this is a McDavid game, if there ever was one. He did pretty much nothing in that first game. The offense was held without a shot for over 22 minutes at one point. They had 8 shots in the last 2 periods. I don't care how well you play or how good your team is. You don't do that to Connor McDavid twice in a row. I actually thought that McDavid might have a bit of an FU game in game 1 because I don't think we touched this on the show, but the finalist for the Pearson Award, which is basically the Hart Trophy, but awarded by the players, was announced. And it was McKinnon, and it was Kucherov, and it was Matthews as the finalists. And McDavid was left off. And I kind of thought that might really spur him. That didn't. Listen, it was a really weird performance by the Oilers. Because I think Vancouver was the better team for most of the night. Like, even in the first period when the shots were 10-5 Edmonton and they had the goals, like, Vancouver was living in their zone at times. And then that just continued for the rest of the way. The line for tonight's game, just straight up to win, Oilers minus 122, Vancouver plus 104. The total in this game is 6. But when we dive into player points, just to give you an idea about Connor McDavid's, I don't believe they even list McDavid over half a point anymore, because it would be like,
why would you?
minus 10,000. He's minus 121 for 2 points and plus 205 for over 2.5 points. Normally, I'd say these numbers are bizarre, but it's Connor McDavid. And I don't know about you, but I think he's going to be playing with this serious burr in his saddle tonight. And I hope the rest of his team follows the captain's lead.
Yeah, of course, obviously, like, invest in any McDavid prop you can. I think you're probably going to be coming home happy. But for me, the best value is over 3.5 shots on goal. I know he had 0 last game, but I think he's going to be peppering the net tonight. You said it best. You don't shut down McDavid 2 nights in a row. And I know he's a generational distributor of the puck, but when Connor is sour and pissed off, man, like he plays with an edge, not necessarily physicality, but like he has a real FU to his game, and that means trying to stuff the puck in the net. So, over 3, like for him to have 4 shots in this game, like I could see him getting 3 or 4 in the first period, coming out, out with his hair on fire. So I really like him over 3.5 shots, and you're getting it at plus money. So that's my favorite McDavid prop. I'll probably take him over 2.5 points as well. Over 1.5. Maybe we'll even sprinkle 2.5. I'm not too sure what his price is for his assist props, but maybe think about that. But my favorite of them all is the over 3.5 shots. Similar to Nichushkin, Zach Hyman, just been blindly riding that as well. It's at plus money, which I don't think we've seen in a little while. The last few games, it's been at minus money. So I'm taking him at plus 105. And ESTers, you can, hit mute here for a second because I am going to take a couple Canucks player props here. But Brock Besser at a point, minus 156, a little bit juicier than I normally like, but he has 7 points in 7 games, recorded a point in 5 of the last 7 in the postseason. He's also leading the team in goals. If you want a little more of a juicy number, take Dakota Joshua. He's been an unbelievable beast this playoffs, come up in big moments. Believe it or not, he's tied with Besser and with JT Miller with 7 points in his playoff run so far. So him at 147, Besser at minus 156, McDavid at 3.5 shots are my 2 favorites. And I know we'll probably get into the exclusives in a little bit, but I threw together a little patty nose puck because I knew it was coming on the program today. I've got Alexander Barkov, Zach Hyman, and Brock Besser all to record a point at plus 300. I was shocked at that number. That is a solid number for 3 guys that have been just stuffing the score sheet as of late.
Dakota Joshua plus 147 for a point.
Yeah, I was shocked at that number. He's got a point per game. Everywhere. And he's been everywhere, man. And I know Jake loves them. I know Jake's gonna love this. Former Toronto Maple Leaf draft pick. Just go figure. I mean, we can't win with this. We can't win with this franchise. God damn it.
There's always one way to get it. As far as goal props go, and if we like Connor McDavid to get 3.5 shots or more, 4 more shots,
one of those are going to
wouldn't be surprised if he bulges it. Plus 117 to score for McDavid, and plus 530 for 2. Funniest thing is, usually McDavid's at the top of everything except for goals. Zach Hyman, 20-1 for a McDavid hat trick, plus 1650 for Zach Hyman. And if he does that, Jake will hit his series over game 2. Last series, it took 1 game. Yep. This series, it might take 2. Ooh, maybe that's actually a good reason to jump on Hyman for a couple tonight. Anyways, it's all there right now. You can get in on it. Oilers minus 122, Canucks plus 104, total 6, and a whole bunch of player props available over at Coolbet. You know what? Okay, let's quickly. I should mention we've got the text in right now. So ESTers, this is your chance to get an entry for VIB tickets to the Friday, July 12th show at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival in Edmonton with Shane Gillis and Andrew Schultz. All right. Our word right now is, we'll go with even, EVEN, because that's what all of you hope that this series will be after tonight. So the word for the lock shop is even. Text it to 780-218-9999 for a chance to get an entry for those VIP tickets to see Shane Gillis and Andrew Schultz at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. And Alley Cat, I guess, is the official beer, which, of course, is pouring 6 o'clock or lager at the Great Outdoors Festival. By the way, did you see that picture that Dusty tweeted of a guy in a truck that looked like he had like 2 flats, like about 2,000 6 o'clocker lagers in the back of his truck, getting ready for a big playoff party or something right now? It seems like Albertans are loving that beer.
I did not see that. I'm not surprised. I haven't been able to ship some 6 o'clock lager here to Toronto, but I hear it's a great tasting beer. And this is honestly, buddies of mine and I were talking about it. This time right now, I know it's not as hot as the summer, but this time right now might be some of the best beer drinking weather. Playoffs on, the weather's starting to get warmer again. This is perfect beer weather drinking. So enjoy your 6 o'clock lagers. I appreciate the guy being so, eager to get all the beer. Let's save some for the rest of us as well, right? We don't want to hog all the 6 o'clock lager.
Well, and I also noticed today that these guys just continuing to get into the spirits category.
Yes.
They've got these 6 o'clocker lager, and now hot off the presses, birdie booze.
Yeah, I love
which listen, I think there's going to be plenty of Mickeys of that in golf bags around the greater Edmonton area when that stuff gets going. All right, Raj H, what up, sweet donkeys? That's nice. Spency 5 Centsy, some very juicy exclusives on Coolbet tonight. We'll get to that in just a minute, but quickly, let's hit the NBA. Shocker last night. The Cavs, what was it? I think they were like plus 650 or plus 700 on the money line. The Celtics minus 1,013.5 point favorites. The Spider, Donovan Mitchell, comes through big time. As I say, I am not a Celtics guy. I have been on the Nuggets. I've been on a lot of other teams. At some point, when we get to the NBA Finals, if the Celtics are there, I'll be betting against them. And last night is part of the reason for that. I'm not sure that this team has the consistency. They might be as talented as everyone, and they certainly were consistently good throughout the regular season. But playing against these top teams, I mean, that's 2 series in a row that they've been beaten on a home court by a vastly inferior opponent.
You know what? Like Bill Simmons said it on his show. I don't know if it was, I think it might have been last night or maybe early this morning. I saw a tweet come out and he said, like, again, he's not trying to overreact and saying that, he still believes that the Celtics team will get over the hump and, possibly get it done or at least get to the finals. But like, if they can't even just get to the finals, this will be the most disappointing Boston Celtics team of all time, Boston sports team of all time. Like it is crazy. It was crazy to see that result. But man, oh man, like if you're in Boston right now, like you cannot be feeling great about that. Like fans were leaving the game with like 8 minutes to go.
Yep.
Like it was ugly out there. And you mentioned it, like Donovan Mitchell was the best player on the court by leaps and bounds. He had 29 points. The consistency is certainly gotta be an issue for the Celtics team. I don't think you can hit the panic button just yet. But man, this really, really, you hope this problem doesn't rear its ugly head another time in this series, because if they can't get over the Cavs, like even if the Cavs are to push this to 7, you can't be good about knocking off some of these teams in the West. Like the way the West has been playing, some of these teams, man, like.
Well, get this. Like that loss last night has barely changed the odds. The Celtics are still minus 11 to win the series. The Cavs plus 660. And the Celtics to win the series 4-1. So to win the next 3 games, like they did against the Heat, is plus 102. Plus 240 for Celtics 4-2. plus 345 Celtics 4-3. So I think certainly the book believes that was a bit of a blip.
And Huss, listen to this, man. I forgot I had this pulled up as well. I saw it. The Celtics home playoff record since 2021, 15-15. Like, that is not good. You talk about how the Bruins, you were saying, like, you feel a lot confident about this bet, getting plus money at home. Well, for the Celtics, the Garden has not been a great place for them. I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know if it's what it is. But having a 500 record, and since 2021, it's not like it's like this Celtics team has been good for years now, a few years now.
The Heat are probably good for 6 or 7 of those wins in Boston.
Yeah, you're right.
Over the last few years. And just quickly, Luka coming up big. I said yesterday, like, I still like OKC to win this series, but was on Dallas last night. Dallas just seems like a team where they split on the road, but they split at home too. I will definitely be laying a road dog bet on OKC when that gets going. And who knows, maybe if we're lucky enough, we can see another Luka press conference with what appeared to be live sex sounds coming from behind him in what was an all-time press conference moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check social media and you'll have a big laugh. Tonight, Duck Dad pointed this out at the start of the show. Pacers, despite being down 2-0, 7.5 point favorites in this game and minus 312 on the money line. I mean, I get it. I mean, I think they expect the Pacers to win, but tell you what, the Knicks have a lot of mojo going on right now. 2 big wins at home. I don't think they just laid down in this one. That's a big number to cover for a team that, hasn't been particularly close in the first 2.
I think it's got to be the fact that the book is just banking on the Pacers to be coming out on fire here. And that's the only thing I could really think of, honestly, because the Knicks, they've been unbelievably impressive. Just this entire year, they've been such a fun team to watch. Just offensively, they put up 125 plus points in both the games. I think it was 130 last game. Like, it just seemed like they couldn't miss. And anytime there was a run by the Pacers, the Knicks, they answered the bell and came up quite huge. Obviously, as a Raptors fan, you've got rooting interest on both sides with OG and I think Siakam as well. Siakam again, like playoff Siakam hasn't showed up 14 points last game. I don't know what he had in game 1. He's gonna have to be better, but the Knicks just seem like they have those guys that step up. Just looking from last game, Jalen Brunson, who is quickly becoming a fan favorite across the league, 29 points. Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu, 28 points. OG, 28 points. Josh Hart, 19 points. Just these guys were hitting their shots in the big moments. And, Knicks fans, as insufferable as they are, this team is very likable. I really enjoy liking these guys. Bing bong, you can throw that out as much as you really want to there. It's fine. I'm okay with it. And the NBA is a better place when the Knicks are relevant. And as annoying as their fans are, it's good for basketball. So I'm here for it.
The Pascal spicy P. You want a piece of spicy P tonight, folks? Playoff P over 21.5 is plus 105. But I think my favorite prop on this, and it's not to diminish Brunson, I just can't believe how big this number is. 34.5 is his point total, and the over is minus 135. We can get plus money, plus 100 on under 34.5. So, I mean, that 35 points is a lot, especially on the road against a team that can play defense like Indiana. So I'm going to jump on that. One other game tonight, and this is the game that Zulu and I have been waiting for all week. The panic button remains pressed. We'll see whether we can ease off it if the Nuggets can get a win. But as we've seen, there's a lot of people that expect the best for the Nuggets, and maybe the 3 days off will be a big boost for them to sort of recalibrate themselves, figure out what they have to do. But the T-Wolves opened up at minus 189 a couple days ago. It's now minus 164. Nuggets at plus 140. We'll not be touching that game with an individual bet because we're already extended enough on Nuggets futures that we just are praying that that game comes through. Tomorrow, the series that went last night are back at it. The Thunder plus 130 in Dallas, minus 154, and the Celtics minus 345 on the road, Cleveland plus 280. Before we go, let's take a quick look at the exclusives. And yes, Patty knows puck. It's up there in the lock shop section. Barkov, Hyman, Besser, all to record a point, boosted to plus 300. Love it. And just here's a quick rundown of some of these other NHL daily exclusives that people were talking about in the chat. Freaky Friday. Will we get either or both of Wednesday's Stanley Cup playoff games? That means Friday's games to go to overtime. So will we get an overtime game tonight? Plus 150. You're going to like this one, Oiler fans. Well-oiled machine. McDavid and Draisaitl both to record 2 or more points and Oilers to win. Plus 225. Road favorites. Panthers and Oilers both to win. That's boosted to plus 260. We got the playoff performers. Marchand, Barkov, Nuge, all to record a point. Plus 350. Home dogs. Bruins and Canucks both to win. Plus 365. Tonight's Lamplighters is Verhaeghe and Hyman both to score. Plus 485. Points from the point. McAvoy, Bouchard, Quinn Hughes, all to record a point. 5-1. And the old Stars and Snipes. Matthew Tkachuk, Brock Besser, both to score. Plus 675. So even just with 2 games, Patty, we've got, 8 different boosted options in the exclusives if people are having a tough time deciding on a pick to make themselves.
Yeah, there's a few of them that really jump out to me. I think, for the Verhaeghe, Hyman, both to score 1 goal. The Lamplighter definitely jumps out to me. I'm a sucker for points from the point. I always like it, especially with some of the puck-moving D-men we have still in the playoffs. So those are 2 that I'm probably going to have my eyes circled on. The other thing to note as well, they're not up yet. We're going to have some cross sports exclusives as well upcoming as well. We've had those the last couple of days. People seem to like those. So a little
Those
NHL, NBA, some player props, some teams. So yeah, I've been enjoying seeing those ones, and it seems like a lot of people are enjoying them as well. And to the folks in the nasty chat, just so you know, when I'm looking back and forth, it's me watching the TSN Plus stream for my bets for the golf here. Sith Dagala, another birdie, so he's absolutely dialed. We're so back with Sith.
That's what we like to hear. And just for those of you that are with us, Pendy, Mr. Pendrith,
4 under
is 4 under par right now. He is the top 4. So we got Xander after that bogus ruling yesterday, basically stealing 2.2 strokes from the rest of the field. We should all appeal. He's at 8 under. Rory is at 6 under. Bezuidenhout 5 under, and then Taylor Moore and our guy Pendy at 4 under par. And Pendy did not have a good start yesterday either, which makes where he's at right now that much more impressive. And Max Homa's dropped 1. So there's Heath and Max both there at 13. Looking in at the other guy we need to kind of get his act together is Matty Fitz. And Fitz, maybe he has come up because I just missed him there. Okay, he's 2 under now. He's a +1. We need him to show up. Anyways, it should be good. There's no cut today anyways. So, it's fun to kind of watch it, but it's going to it'll get real come on the weekend. And we'll see if our 25-1 Max Homa bets can give us a fun Sunday afternoon. Patty, great week, and Dusty's gone. So more of you coming up next week. We'll get yourself, Jake, We got Iwanek in for a day as well. Should be fun. And again, TSN. I know we're watching a lot of hockey on Sportsnet these days, but not only do we have Dusty doing the WHL, you can see this handsome face watching the lacrosse as well. Is that finals coming up this weekend?
Not this weekend, next weekend.
Beautiful. We'll get some picks on that next week. Folks, have a great weekend. Again, Lock Shop promo code on Coolbet. If you haven't played there before, use it. And we'll turn you back over to the EST boys. And if you want, come and join me coming up at the top of the hour on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Big show today on everything going on around the National Hockey League and CFL camp starting this weekend. We'll get to that as well. Bombers, the favorite at Coolbet to win the Grey Cup this year. Have a great weekend, gang. Thanks, Patty.